first I'll turn my mic on, and second I will go turn this on. There we go. I hope you guys can hear me. I should actually check to make sure you guys can hear me. Can you guys hear me? Actually, I'll wait, because it's 15 seconds behind. Okay, and, okay, there we go. Okay, I have it, set behind, I want to give you sort of like a rundown of what's been happening. Well, I want to give you sort of a rundown of the entire stream. First, I want to say that the entire focus of the stream is, like, every year I do this to say thank you to, like, usually subscribers, followers, the like. But this year is very, very different and, like, a lot more important than other years have been. I mean, typically, for the streams, I usually tend to do it just to say thank you, but I do want to say thank you to, like, everybody who's helped me. Like, that is essentially the thesis of this, using, like, university, what's it called? English. Oh my goodness. But, but it should be in the description, but, like, you know, this is really to thank, like, everybody who has helped me in one way or another for everything they've done for me, and, just to, like, express what I'm gonna do with the time that I have, with the opportunities that I've gained, and, like, what I'm gonna do with them to help people who deal with trauma, like, future generations, what they're gonna be doing, and people who don't really have a voice. And what that means, I'll get into a bit later. The stream, this first half was supposed to be sort of recorded to give me an opportunity to think about what I want to say, but I have not been able to do enough to, I have not been able to get that all sorted out. I also had a couple of, like, extra things I've been working on. Unfortunately, I'm not able to show them because they, because, what am I trying to say? I didn't have quite enough time to troubleshoot everything the way I planned on doing, so I kind of have to let that stuff slide. I will definitely get into that a bit later, where I took a motion design class and tried to apply as much of that into this. You actually saw a bit of that with the intro, with the opening slate, which I did want to, like, put a lot of stuff in there. Here's where I tell you the full order of the stream. Essentially, there's going to be 8 sections, I think I put there. Yeah, 8 sections. I don't know if that includes this, like, opening, but between each section, I'm going to have a time where I try and read the comments a bit, just so that I can sort of communicate a bit more, and also allow you guys to ask some more questions. I'm getting distracted. Also allow you guys to ask more questions to get an understanding of what I'm talking about with each part I do. But the first part is me talking about my year, essentially the year in review. I honestly wish I could show you the sort of template stuff that I put together for that, but things don't always work out the way you hope they did with stuff like this. So, like, to start, I'm going to be talking about the music that I've done, which you can hear some of it throughout the, well, actually, I think I put all of it on the music thing. I'm sorry. Words are... This is why I wanted to record it. This is honestly the reason why I wanted to record it, because I do have some difficulty focusing sometimes. In fact, I'm going to pull this down so I can actually focus. But all the music in the, that's coming through are all the pieces that I played, that I composed for various things. So, as consistent with my theme, I have continued to compose, despite the fact that I have not uploaded it, very publicly. This one that's currently playing is called Koger Center. I gotta say, it's my absolute favorite one that I've ever done, which, to be honest, I'm not one of those people who likes anything they make. This song came on a whim. I really want to explain all the details of these things, but I don't know how much time I can give to all of them. But I will give as much time to this one, because honestly, I could express this building, the Koger Center, is where I did an internship. I composed this during the internship, and I put as much of the feel and theme of what it's about. This is actually sort of a theme of a D&D campaign that I was doing with some of my friends here in college. It ended, so the campaign finished, so it's still just there, but that's as much as I could say about that. Sorry. The next one, the one that's currently playing, is called... Sorry. The one that's currently playing is called Dear Mr. Reddingman. I described it in the places that I put it as a sense of longing, waiting for to be free from a situation you're currently in. To be honest, that has described pretty much everything I'm going to be discussing. I've definitely been having to call out to be free from a lot of the issues I've been facing for the past couple years, many years actually. And it was originally supposed to be sort of a cappella-ish, but I ended up creating it to become this because I enjoyed it. I enjoyed doing that. The one after that is M.A. Manor, which is that sort of moody, kind of creepy one. That is for a film project that I got to do last semester, spring semester, and I will definitely go into all the detail about that because I am extremely excited about that one. again, there's Chronocore Corsairs, but I had two others which are also in this. Let me quickly move over to here. Oh, well, okay. So those two are Low on Coffee, which is that one that just keeps increasing, and I was trying to sort of get the feeling of anxiety in there. To be honest, I listened to it, and when I listen to it, I'm just like, yeah, no, I'll only listen to it once a day. And then there's Scientific Fantasy, which is actually the first one that I made during the internship. Just testing the waters for a new style, mixing and sampling, rather than just straight up composition. But that is pretty much all for the music side. In terms of in terms of the video side, I'm really sorry. Notes are distracting. A lot of projects. As I kind of said in the semester end announcement, I had a lot of projects. I'm surprised about how many I had. I want to quickly just take a look at something to really get a grasp of how many things I did that count as video projects. Yeah. Yeah, there are a lot. I am going to have to figure out how many there are by 21 in 1 year. I did create a reel to show the full thing. That's going to be coming later, but I will give a little background for each of them. Starting with the rotoscope. I took an animation class for the first time. I said that already, but I'm still excited about that because I've always wanted to do that since I was younger. I've always wanted to do that. I've always wanted to be able to actually learn how to animate and create life through what I make. I've always had a passion for it, and now I have been able to learn, and I'm really excited about that. The first thing I want to share about that is the rotoscoping project that was our sort of preparation for what we're supposed to do. I guess it makes sense that one of the first things you kind of need to learn how to do. I'm sorry, I keep getting distracted. I'm a really distractible person. One of the first things that a person should learn is rotoscoping, which I look at the semester end announcement to get an understanding of what that is. Then I created a actual full traditional frame by frame animation, which is currently, I'm sorry, the frame by frame animation is currently in I've already finished it. Still can't believe I created it. I'm sorry. I'm not. It's been a while since I've had to do something like this. I could definitely explain more about that. But the animation was created and now is in, sorry, this song that's going on right now, this one is the one that was the score for the animation. It's not really available to the public right now because I'm trying to put it in for film festivals. First time, why not? It may look rough, but I've been thinking a lot about what I've been trying to say for these things, but as I describe it, I would describe it as somebody would call it trash, but it's my trash, and I'm super happy about my trash. I don't care what anybody says about it. I still think that the fact that I created is enough to warrant, the fact that I was able to learn how to do that is enough to warrant, hey, I did it. And I will move on. Okay. Also, another class I took during that time was a public communications class. Currently I finished it, but I'd say currently, right now, I'm failing it because I'm not using, because I know there are a whole bunch of things that that we've had to go through that I am not paying attention to. So, yeah. It helped a bit. It definitely helped me because I can get into that later, but during the actual class, I honestly don't know how I survived that with the amount of anxiety I had over every single thing. I almost couldn't do any of the projects. It was really not a fun time. Moving to the summer, I can't distract me again. Moving to the summer, I have what am I saying? So this summer, I was able to work on a podcast with one of the people here at the university, one of my friends. And it's called Babylon Podcast. We put together I put together a first season sort of highlight for it. It's essentially, so there was kind of a split in what our ideas were, but what it actually is supposed to be, what it was intended to be, the original creator, who was Barry, the friend. I'm sorry. The original intention was him and his friends just being able to talk about random stuff, and you guys, viewers, being able to see it, watch it. There is a YouTube channel and other stuff, but we haven't been able to get on that for a very long time since both of us have been extremely busy. And then finally this semester, again, there's a motion design class. That was certainly a class that I'm really happy I took. It was what I would call it would be a sort of a test of what I had learned. Hey, you learned all this, but not on the sort of core technical stuff, but on understanding what I truly want to do with what I've learned in school with media arts. I think the whole thing. So I'll leave that. So the next part of this is, oh wait, between each section, I go on here. And look at the comments. Words are not... I'm sorry. But, yeah, okay. So, sad background music is... I don't know when everything was being said, so I'll quickly go and make sure I can see that. Yeah, actually, I'll quickly stop here to give you guys an opportunity to ask things. I realize I went I was very, like, surfacey on all of these. I don't know. I feel as if I didn't, like, explain things enough in a way, but, I mean, what do you have to... I don't know. Yeah, there's a minor, there's a 15-second delay just so that it doesn't, like, continue buffering the whole time, but I'll hold on for a second. Okay, I guess I shall move on to the next part. Okay, so, the next part, which is essentially giving a full, like, life in review, what's actually been going on underneath. This part, I'm gonna really have to, like, pay full, complete attention to it, because, this year has probably been I've definitely had to grow the most this year, in pretty much every single area of my life. I would probably want to focus first on how it relates specifically to academics. So, in terms of academics, I would want to pay attention first to my class, public communications class. Actually, I'm gonna hold on for a second. I'm going to need to I think I'm going to need to take a bit of time to sort of really gather my thoughts, because I've not really been able to do much of that beforehand. Mostly what I've been doing was focusing on putting this together. In fact, when I finished all of these pieces, all of these aspects of it, half an hour after I was supposed to get here and prepare for this. So I really have not been able to put my thoughts together to be able to say what I want to say in the way that I want to say it. Well, actually, no, that applies fully to the entire thing. Fear. For the person who Evan asked, like, what the title meant, and it does, the entire thing is like taking step forth, moving forward, escaping the issues that I've faced beforehand, and also thanking everybody who's helped me with that. But I mean, I'm still having to learn and grow and change things, and learn a bit more about myself. I will actually, I will get started on the part that I was going to move from growth. So I think last year during my updates, I ended up explaining the fact that I more recently found out that I was dealing with ADHD, and it wasn't until over this summer that I realized just how, well, it wasn't until this summer that I realized how much it had been impacting me. Throughout this year, I've been having to go back through things and figure out what in the world has been happening back there. What have I been missing? What have I not been paying attention to? My goodness, I'm not focusing. But part of the issue is that given that I have this issue of concentration is just part of it. There are still various things that I'm having to deal with, various other problems that make it difficult for me to say what I need to say, do what I need to do. And I think one of the core things that I really needed to learn is how to be patient with myself. Because honestly, I'm really not that patient with myself. I wasn't exactly raised or trained in a way to be patient with myself. I can definitely say that there are a lot of the majority of my I feel as if it's a majority, the training of most people, which is that you gotta get things done. Gotta get things done no matter what. It's like the bottom line is all that matters. Time crunch, time crunch, time crunch. Forget everything else. All that matters is getting the thing done. And I cannot, like, it's definitely caused a lot of issues. With me not being able to, like, believe in myself, trust myself, being extremely hard on myself. And I mean, it definitely causes me to have to pause like every 15 minutes to think about what I want to say. It definitely causes me to not be able to keep on going with what I have to say, to keep focus, to not get distracted. But then there is anxiety, and I think right now I'm gonna really take a moment to fight that anxiety right now. I mean, right now, I'm currently afraid of, like, time. Like, what is the number one thing? What is, like, one of the top things that you think of when what's like one of those things that like you always see with like fully produced stuff? What do you generally see? Like, there's always like things are on time. There's no there's barely any pauses. I'm rehashing what I'm saying. Barely any of that. But to be honest, that's not really how I do things. I can't do things that way. I'm not able to work like a machine, like how, you know, this entire, how you generally get raised. But I guess I will have to move on from that for a second, because there are a couple of things that I want to use to explain this. I usually tend to write my words down to give me an opportunity to fully grasp my words. And I think that I have something that will be able to do that. It's my internship report that I did over the summer. But I'll try and read a couple snippets of it. And I think it will actually give a pretty good indicator, like how I am so sorry. I accidentally turned off the music. But it will give a good indicator of what I'm really want to say throughout this entire thing. But before I do that, I'm gonna have to quickly take time and process, because I really do need a moment to process what I'm saying and not like continue to pause. So I have on this a thing. I have window that I'm going to be capturing right now. There we go. So here is what I'm going to do. I'm going to start this window if it will give me an opportunity to do that. I'm gonna start this and at least just leave it for now as I take time and process. And if you guys are like you know, gonna be doing like other stuff during this time, I'm totally fine with that. I understand that this is not I wouldn't consider this the most interesting stream to begin with, but you know, I'm honestly trying as hard as I can. I'll explain the reason why. It's part of the reasons why later. I'm just taking a quick break to.
Because I've got to figure out how long. What is your game plan? What is your?
I guess to somehow get through this,
Oh no, you're fine.
Yeah.
I just want to try and find out what you need to do.
Mm-hmm.
Is there something that you need?
I guess time and a bit of patience.
That's fine.
Yeah. Because my current stressor is me wanting to do things quickly, but
That's fine. No,
Yeah.
that's why I'm just trying to figure out. Because reason why I'm asking is you initially said that you were going to be done at like 5.
yeah.
And I
Or
was
after 5, yeah.
And I have got I've been recording a record, and I was going to go in the studio.
Oh, okay.
So I just need to know whether I need to put off studio time today and do it tomorrow. So that's why I'm saying.
Quick question: where is the studio?
Oh, it's all the way out in Lifeboat.
Oh wow. Okay.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, and the thing is I'm all set up track and bass and everything like that. So again, I don't want to rush you. I know this is important and this needs to be done. So go ahead and continue on, and I'm going to put off my studio time today and do it tomorrow. Okay?
Thank you.
You're welcome. I just want to make sure, you get through and do what you want to do. I don't want to put any stress on you or rush you. Get through.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, I am back. So it's actually a good thing that I took this time to process things, because I actually forgot that live streams really wear me out. Usually I would like to talk one-on-one with people. That's my preferred form of communication, not talking to a whole bunch of people at the same time. But I did feel the need to share what I wanted to share with a lot of people at the same time. So I'll see what I can do, so far. Not exactly able to go at the pace that I would prefer, but I will go at the pace that my body allows me to. Do things correctly. I guess I'll take some time to ask, how are you guys, in the comments, because, it would be a bit easier if there was a bit more back and forth, but it's not exactly that easy, seeing as this is not a no latency stream. There is some delay, so unfortunately I can't ask something and then, I could. Or I could not. It seems that I'm starting to drop frames. Oh, music. Yeah, seems that I'm starting to drop frames. Yeah. Let's see. What am I doing currently? I was about to share my internship report, giving people an understanding of what I was trying to say this entire time. So when I started the internship, I was kind of unsure of what to expect. I definitely had a lot of concerns of lagging behind in the workload, and not being able to stick to the plan, stick to the system, stick to the schedule, meeting expectations, as I am worrying about right now. But my concerns were alleviated. I didn't have to worry too much about that, especially because they helped me learn things before, and it kind of makes sense that it's an internship. I'm not supposed to know everything all at once at the very beginning, or else I wouldn't be doing an internship. I would just be doing normal work. But Steve Borders, who's the lead technician, or head technical director here, and he was my mentor, helped me in learning things, helping to definitely took some time to understand where I was at, how much I knew. I didn't have to rush to understand everything. Definitely helped me not have to worry about the pace, not have to worry about the stress. I didn't know there were a whole lot of things I didn't know. A lot of techniques, a lot of equipment that I never knew. What you're seeing right now is only a corner of the building. What you typically see when you come here is definitely so what you see is a corner of the building. It's barely a fraction of what you typically see when you see the building. It is a very large building. And then what you typically see while you're here is like a 16th of the entire complexity. Steve described it as a city within a city, and that is definitely the case. I was able to see essentially every inch of this place during my internship, and it was really, really cool. I'm really excited that I got to do that. I wasn't completely clueless to anything. Of course, I had taken a bunch of classes before, a lot of things in media arts, and there were actually stuff with sound design and with like how to listen to music more with my music classes, that I was able to understand. But in terms of like logistics, while I did take some classes and do partner work, those were class projects. They were more like us working together. In fact, that's part of the reason why this keeps failing, in my opinion. Not being able to... Originally, there were supposed to be other people here helping, so I wasn't like distracted with all this technical stuff. But unfortunately, they weren't able to be here for different reasons. But the issue that I've been having is mostly logistics. I'm not really that good with organization on my own stuff, especially like, I guess I'm okay with it if I'm just the only one, which is why I was able to get as much done as I was able to. But in terms of with others, coordinating that type of stuff is not at all my strong suit. Of the projects that I've done, out of all of these and all the ones I've done, I'd say there is only one success since I've been in college. Only one. One that has not crashed and burned. And that, I guess besides this one, this hasn't completely crashed and burned. It's burning, but not crashing. Of the ones that I've done, like, the only one that has actually, like, succeeded is the podcast. Of course, it had to end because we were busy, but we were able to get some traction, and all the others that I've done, I've not been able to get any traction. To be honest, I've definitely gained a fear of working with others in a way, because it's like, I unfortunately, this also kind of proves that, where why work on anything with others, especially if it's a personal project? Because it will 100% of the time fail. Now it's a 99% of the time, but it's still like, I mean, the data shows that working with others for me is not the way to go. Working on projects, personal projects with others is just not the way to go. Because either they crash and burn, like so many of the ones I was trying to do over the past 4 years, to the point where so many of them just failed because of that. But to be honest, I'm not gonna let that stop me. I mean, I'm still gonna work with people. Like, why should I stop because I failed? Like, that's part of like what that's part of who I am. That's part of what I do. I make mistakes. I make a lot of mistakes. But that's just what I do. And I learn through them, and I probably would not like some of the things I will definitely be getting to share. I would not have been able to know those things or understand those things if I had not made so many mistakes that are like, how first of all, how did you make that mistake? And second of all, how did you make that mistake so many times the exact same way? Like, what? Joel, 1, 2, 3, 18 times, and then you finally figure it out? Great. But, you know. So, one mistake currently is the fact that I am not paying attention to reading this. So, I know that marching band had a very big impact on what I thought about the media industry. Hurry up and wait environment, as I explained, like, all you focus on is the work at hand, nothing else. If you think of anything else, if you focus on anything else, you are wasting time, and you should just go, because you're not. Because that was definitely the environment of the marching band. In the first 2 years at least. Like, it was extremely, like, formality is all that matters. And with that, and also watching so many films that, if we want to go there, like Disney films. How many of them have it where it's like the work, if you're now working, it's like the person's dying over like the workload and the speed, and it's like person's going crazy. I'm literally thinking of the Donald Duck short, the one Donald Duck short where he's in like living in like Germany during World War II. Sorry, that distracted me. And that's literally one of my anxieties of like what I'm going to be doing, essentially. If you've ever watched that and see the end where he literally loses his mind, that's essentially what I have like truly been terrified about. And I mean, I may or may not have experienced that in some way or not. But to move on, like, I definitely learned that I did not have to worry too much about that. I didn't have to worry about those fears, those, like, that I'm gonna have to be pushed to do things and I'm gonna be behind all the time. I may be behind all the time, but I'm the one who's in control of my schedule. I'm the one who's in control of my schedule. Nobody else is. They could have certain perceptions, expectations. No. I'm gonna do what I want to do. Because that's the only way I know how to do things. I mean, not that I will only do what I can do, because that's the only way I know how to do things. I also, in the internship, got to understand just how like media arts and essentially like a performing arts center like this, what type of impact it has on the community. Not only being able to see like different subcultures interacting with each other, but also like it's not just different subcultures interacting with each other, but like just being able to bring a cohesiveness to like a community like this, like Colombia. Like behind me is the University of South Carolina like symphony, I think. Symphony orchestra, sorry. And to be honest, like, there's so many different types of people who go to watch that. Wicked, the play musical that's gonna be here, is it just embodies that in a way. Like, sure, actually, I'm not gonna spoil it. Never mind. It embodies it, and it would be. And I really do want to. I've never watched it, but I've definitely heard enough and may or may not have listened to the soundtrack enough times to understand the story over and over. But having like some type of like core location where everybody can come together and experience things and talk and communicate in all different styles, not just with art, speech, sound, music. Like, it's pretty vital. And like, I don't think there would be really any way that a community could work together without media. There's no way that they could do that, because without that sort of communication, and also the underlying emotions and the underlying like things that they're thinking as to why they say or do the things they do, it's not really easily expressed unless through media, essentially. So through all that, I essentially realized that, like, media arts, actually, I thought about this earlier, and it did concern me a bit because of mostly, like, the religious reasons. I compared it to magic. So you can see where it is, like the whole, ooh, magic, dark magic, evil, bleh. But to be honest, there's a lot of things in reality that you could kind of compare. especially, I described this to some of my friends, but I compare it primarily to illusionary magic, but also to other parts of it. But like I said earlier, I play Dungeons and Dragons, which, to be honest, is imaginatively magical. But honestly, it's a really great way to tell stories. It's like you're coming together to tell one cohesive story with a whole bunch of other people, and that's probably what I enjoy most about it. Like, even if you were just dungeon crawling all the time, what happened as you were dungeon crawling is what matters. So I definitely compare it to, like, well, actually, this was part of my worries and concerns with doing this. Media is extremely, extremely powerful. I learned, like, the first time I learned this was in my Mark 210 class. The only 100 level class in two different in both of the media related majors here. Start with this class, and they both are essentially the most terrifying things I've ever. So it's actually a joint class because they're the same thing for both of them. But that class was the most terrifying class I've ever taken. Like, with English, which I didn't even describe. To let everybody know quickly, I finally passed all my English classes. I finally don't have to worry about English. It took me way too long. I did it over the summer, but it took me way too long. English was a class that I almost wasn't able to, like, get through. I honestly didn't think I was going to be able to, like, be able to graduate. It's a required class. I didn't think I was going to be able to graduate, but here I am. I passed it. I think, so I know that there's usually a point where the emotions finally get there. There's like a delay on when emotions finally get to me, depending on how big the thing is. I'm sure, like, when I graduate, I'll be at graduation, and then, like, a year later, I'm like, I'm not in college anymore. Like, that's when the emotions would finally get there. But with English, that was, like, honestly, I haven't felt, like, the full, like, extent of the emotions of, like, I survived this thing that was bugging me for 8-9 years. I finally passed it, like, correctly, I guess. But that's just English. Like, that class gave me, like, full-on anxiety. This class, the media arts class, I would describe it as sitting in a room, being way too terrified to even breathe. Especially during one of the classes. One of the actual class time, like, actually just, like, sitting there, like, every single move I make is gonna prove the professor right, because you're not just focusing on what you're making. You're focusing on what you're thinking as you're making it, how it's being expressed. You're thinking about what you're thinking about as you're making it. You're going so meta. Like, so meta. that like you can't like, it's like, how could you truly understand like why you think the way you think and how it has been impacted by media? Like, I didn't realize it until over the summer. I would not have learned how to read alphabets, how to read letters in various different fonts without Sesame Street. Like, I was like watching one of the episodes, one of the older episodes from the time when I was of that age, and I was like, oh my goodness. What? How did I know? It's like, yeah, I know numbers. But what would have happened if they didn't repeat it enough for me to understand it? Would I know the number 1 as well as I do if I did not count to 10 or to 100 like a billion times when I was young? Like, the point of it is essentially that Orwell may be onto something. Not even joking there. But I definitely got to see like a lot of these things in action, like over the summer, the good and the bad. First, I got to learn a lot from Steve about like how he does that. Like, the primary thing is like sound design, everything about that that I learned at least. But like understanding panning and how bass is included and how to really bring stuff to life through sound, like you don't really realize it, but like the core thing, like I have pretty bad video quality right now. In fact, it seems to be getting worse because it's getting darker, but this wouldn't be quite as bad. This would be much worse if I had like really terrible sound. And like, it's like, why do you feel something when you're watching something? And you realize sometimes it really does the core thing is like the sound. If the sound was incorrect, you would not feel it the same way. And while I did learn a lot of those things, I did definitely learn a lot of the ugly side of media. You know what? I will kind of express this. So, this summer, we did have a couple of issues with there was a whole thing happening with our university's presidential election that definitely got like it got probably the most amount of responses of like a big it was definitely a big deal, like witnessing not only the response of students, like seeing like how they responded it, but the fact that like depending on how it gets expressed, it could easily impact, like at first I had the idea that the person that that's getting elected, everybody doesn't like, which was essentially how it was being described, and is probably not the one who was supposed to be there, something. But I wanted to make sure that I did not bandwagon on that, because I know how easy it is for me to do that, especially when all I hear is one side. That's the danger of media. That is the absolute danger, where it's like, if you see one side long enough, it doesn't matter how like stonewall you are on like your ideas or things, unless it's like a truly core thing. If it's not core enough, if you keep getting one side, one opinion, one side of things, you are going to turn to that side. Like, so I took time to try and understand the full thing to make sure that I didn't just, go down one way and be like, oh yeah, nobody likes them, so no. Understand what is truly happening. I went throughout the entire like campus to really understand, okay, does like, is it true that nobody liked him? People definitely like him now. Like, to be honest, like, I'm really, really happy that he's been able to gain as much of the respect that he's gained lately. But I went around and I got an answer that I was able to, that definitely calmed my suspicions. But yeah, it was as consistent with what I had been hearing as it could be. So this internship was definitely a big turning point on this, in terms of like how I felt about the media industry in general. This is over the summer, I was definitely thinking about changing my major because of how, like, it's like, people don't quite realize how important, like, this, or how much, like, the media industry actually controls things. It controls quite a lot. It's like, as I continue reading things, I only get to see, it's like, oh, I thought it was over. Nope, there's more. And like, part of the stressors that were like definitely deterring me was the fact that a slight mistake, like hearing, I can give an example. A couple Sundays ago, I was at church working, I work in the AV department, and I had an effect that I wanted to put into the music as they were performing, just to, bring a bit more of a feel. I ended up accidentally putting the thing in a way, it's like just these small little things, and then boom, like turned it on and nearly blew out all the speakers, essentially, because I did not put it correctly. It's like, and then part of my stress, even while doing this, is the fact that I know every little word that I say, I've gotten in so much trouble for saying the wrong word. Like, I knew what word I was trying to say. I knew what I was trying to say. The word that kept coming to my mind was not the word that I was trying to say. And it's like that slight change just got me in so much trouble, got shouted at, somebody had to talk to me about it, or like what feels like a slight increase in the speed of the air, to me, is actually a massive volume increase for most people, so I don't notice that. It's like, I gotta be more and more, like, nitpicky of tiny little changes, like, tiny little things, knowing how like, small things impact things. But, I mean, definitely learned that I don't have to worry about that. Like, these things are gonna happen no matter what. And I shouldn't be afraid to make mistakes, because, as I said, I would not have learned as much as I had I not, made as many mistakes as I had. So we got to listen to a couple of recordings, both that where am I? Sorry. Along with that, the internship helped me gain like an ability to trust my own perception, my own preferences, my own opinions, because they actually help. Like, I would not have been able to. A lot of these aspects of what I've done with this, I would not have been able to do without just, being confident in how I like things, Yeah. This one. Preparation for events. I did have a lot of rules and, like, regulations on how I should do things, but, there's no possibility to prepare something, that no amount of, like, preparation could prepare you for actually doing the thing. I mean, case in point. And, like, I mean, there may always be people who are not going to be there. I mean, like, I'd say the core thing is being able to learn to let go of control of things. As an anxious person, I tend to like a lot of control over things. And so far I guess I've kind of submitted to that anxiety a little. The thumbnail for this, I originally had Sam, who was helping me create it, and when I didn't like the thumbnail that he gave me, I ended up sort of taking the reins on that, and just made my own. And sure, I got essentially what I was looking for, but it didn't mean that I should have taken the rein. I should have let go and encouraged them. Actually, the better way would have been what I did in my motion design class, partnering with when I did a partner project with somebody else. They had done a drawing of a person's face for one of our projects, and the drawing wasn't, as the professor described it, he it would be better if he made it less uglier, essentially. And like people were saying, all three of the other two were like, hey, yeah, maybe Joel could do it. It's like, yeah. And then I thought about that and I realized, no, I mean, I could, but it'll definitely take away from his ability to, you know, I guess, ability to grow in that. And so I definitely gave him a couple pointers on like, hey, this is what you should do, this, and then he finished and it looked like really good. And that was the correct way of doing things, not trying to like just seize control when something's not working. Because, I mean, I'm definitely known for that, unfortunately. So essentially, like, the experience for this internship was beyond, like, truly unforgettable, as I wrote in this. And in all honesty, that is an honest fact. It was very much unforgettable. It helped me to be able to start moving forward and helped me to sort of build what I want to do with the rest of my life. I'm actually gonna leave this last paragraph for a bit later. We are currently in this part. I will leave it for, excuse me, a section after this next part I'm doing. But I'll come back on the comments and, like, hear what you guys have to say. Yeah. A lot earlier. So with traction, gaining traction, lost traction. That was when I was talking about the, when projects kind of like, traction in terms of, so when I said that, I was talking about the podcast. Not only did we successfully do one episode, we also were able to do 7. And that essentially is what I meant by traction, where it's like, it didn't just like stay in like the preparation stage, it actually went somewhere. So I see you cannot really see me that well, unfortunately. I had an idea of what to do about lighting, but unfortunately I don't think it's gonna work. So what can you do? This thing is essentially most about music, so I should at least give some time to that for now. I see the stream is definitely like lagging a bit. I don't know how far like behind everything is, so I will I'll let it go for now, I guess. But I thankfully have been able to get this part set up. So during the couple hours before I did this, I put together a reel of all the stuff I made. I see that there's there is less people here, but I do hope that some of you guys watch it because it kind of embodies the full thing. It's a reel of all the things I created, so it's not just me telling you these things, it's actually me showing you these things. It is snippets of it, because, I mean, I can't show you the full thing, that would take too long, like this podcast right now, or live stream right now. But, so I will, just transition over to that right now. And if you'll hold on for a second. I'm going to need to add something so that you can actually see this, or actually hear things. Or wait, nope. This is what I intended to do. So, I guess without further ado, I will show you the reel of... Sorry. Without further ado, I will show you the reel of of 2019. Hold on. Sorry. It seems as if it appears as if the sound is not working. But it works better if there is sound, you know. It's a lot better if there is sound. I don't know why there is no sound. That's actually kind of upsetting. It makes sense. Now it makes sense. Ha ha. So the issue is that a lot of the sound isn't coming as their full volume for some reason, and I don't know why, and it is kind of upsetting. Oh, there is also the fact that I put the sound to half, so you can't hear anything regardless. Well...
also bringing you James. Hello, I have no idea what I'm doing. So you open the fridge and you're like, hey, who bought milk? Man, this milk expired February 20th. Wait, no, this isn't even milk. This is cheese at this point. This is basic yes.
You can make yourself some music, just feeling your heart beat, your footsteps on the ground. You can...
Yeah, so that is the reel. I will put that up at some point. Now I need to quickly pause for a second, because I need to figure out where I am in this. I finished the math up, and I wanted to do like either a medley or a mix, but unfortunately I wasn't able to do that just because I didn't explain it earlier, but because of the internship and because of all the classes that I did over the summer, the only way I could describe it is that I have not, my dad was the one who helped me realize it, but I have not had an academic break in a year and a half. And like, you know, you typically have like sections at the beginning and end of the semester, of the summer semesters, but not only did I have so little time to relax during those, because like the first week before the internship and before the classes was me both winding down and winding up at the same time, which caused a lot of stress with that. It was essentially a like spring break type thing. And then at the end of the semester, I ended up having to extend my internship a bit longer because I wasn't able to get enough hours fast enough. What ended up happening is that the day that I finally finished all my hours for the internship was the day that marching band started. Band camp for our band started. And it's a 9 to 9, 12-hour thing. And there's a reason. I mean, I didn't stay. I wasn't able to stay. Like, there was no way I was going to be able to do that. And it's really good because every single day I got back to the apartment and I was literally dying of exhaustion. So, you know, after I'm done with this, I mean, hopefully I'll be able to finish this. I mean, I finished this, so that means that once I'm done with this, I'm going to pack everything up and sleep and just leave everything. Like, forget any other work I have to do. Nothing else matters. I'm rested and I'm not going to... like, this probably would be what I would do consistently later in life, or what I fear would. But I'm not at that level. I haven't built that level of endurance, or technically I have, or I wouldn't be able to do that. But I shouldn't be. I shouldn't have that level of endurance at this stage. So, yeah. I just noticed I'm not as fatigued from this as I usually, and no, now I am, because I paid attention to it. I put my focus on it, and now, but whatever. do want to say one final, well, no, actually there's quite a lot here after this, but this is the part this is one of the big parts that makes this a really, really big deal, especially for this channel. I've been using this channel for the past 4 years, a little less this year, and I've mostly been testing things, but I am currently planning on transitioning off of this channel completely. I know last year I was like, I'm not going to do as much now, but I'm now leaving the Uniquaria Sounds channel. Like, they're still going to be around, but I'm no longer this channel, and Uniquarius are no longer going to be active. This is partially because with so many things that have been happening, I believe that essentially, like, YouTube is going to have to start closing its doors at some point and start powering things down, because they're on a crash course for straight up crashing and burning. Especially the fact that they have so many different people, so many different sides that they have to please at the same time. Unless they do something really, really specific, they're not going to be able to continue. That, and also the fact that there are a couple of ways that a typical YouTube channel is supposed to go and work, and I don't work that way. It doesn't fit the way I do things, so YouTube's no longer going to be my primary thing. I definitely have a lot of goals of what I'm actually going to do moving forward, but essentially this is going to be the last video on this channel, and between the two channels, this is the last video of all. So, I mean, it's been interesting, cool, scary past 4 years, but with me graduating, I'm going to have to, if I'm going to work on things similar to this, I'm going to have to sort of do it in a way that's more in line with how I generally work. So that leads to, well, actually, sorry. I'll quickly do this. I'm gonna quickly talk about what I'm going to do moving forward, and then I'll go back to to chat, just because I do want to. So I think what I'm going to do for now is start preparing to wrap things up. There's a lot of stuff that unfortunately, there's this one final thing that I don't know if I'm going to be able to get to. But, stuff like this happens. So, what I'm going to be doing moving forward, part of what I'm going to be doing moving forward is, animation, motion design. There's the animation that's currently in film festivals. I'm going to be producing more stuff that I could possibly do that. It is part of the media environment, part of the filmmaking environment, especially independent filmmaking. So it's like, I could go down that avenue. and I do still have a lot of ongoing projects. I have a history class that is currently incomplete. I have a couple projects I need to finish. One that I actually want to develop into something a lot bigger. Yeah, I mean, moving forward, there's just a lot. I do want to, like, I want to actually start taking those steps into the new life, essentially. Taking those steps to free myself from what has been preventing me from moving forward. So this next part is actually some words of encouragement, some what I call inspirements. They are, if you hold on for 1 second. Here we go. Yeah. Okay. And okay. There we go. So there are a couple of quotes, a couple of things that I've been thinking through, a lot of things I really want to say to people, but I never really had the fear. Never really had an ability or the confidence to share them. But I guess I'll start with the first one. So I did want, like, as much people as possible to watch this, like, because this is the part that I feel, well, the part about media, I do want, like, as many people to know about that. But this is the part that I feel like many people, I've shared this, I shared the live stream on, like, a couple of different places with people who I feel as if need to, like, hear this. Some form of inspiration about life. A way to move forward, in a sense. So, if you'll give me a couple seconds to I guess, what am I trying to say? I cannot think of what I'm trying to say. I'm going to quickly get some water. So I'm going to put this on. Okay. So a lot of these things are things I wanted to. I'll just get started with them. So, to those who have dealt with scarring, broken, difficult childhoods, and those who are currently in that era of their life, I want to tell them something deeply important. If there's some form of light at the end of the tunnel, if there's some form of light at the end of the tunnel, it's that you are gonna be a world changer, a limit breaker, the people who people admire, with traits. Oh my goodness, I rhymed it. With traits they desire, even when you don't feel it right now. I know I didn't feel it at the time, or sometimes still don't feel that. But the fact is that you've been through what no one else has. I mean, terrible things even at best. You have experience and knowledge that you can't get at college that can heal any fissure we get. See, you felt pain, like real pain, harsh pain. Pain that no one can describe, but you know how to deal with the best and the worst, and comfort those who don't really understand. I want to let you know that while the things that you've dealt with should never have happened, the scars, cuts, like that cut so deep that they leave you completely fractured. That you are part of the best, the nicest, the most loving, caring, well-meaning world changers. And don't let that responsibility stress you. Like, I know that in my personal, not totally off of this, like, that type of feeling of, like, I guess there's sort of the anxiety of, like, it is now my responsibility to change the world. And if I don't do that, then I failed my entire existence. That's not something that you have to, like, do by acting a part. That's not something you can do by acting a part. It's something that you do when you are you. And for me, I guess it's when I am truly who I am. And you take the experiences you've had and allow them to lead you to see a different side of to see a different side to every obstacle, a unique perspective, a way to help those who've been oppressed, as you probably have been, and when used to the best of your ability, again, you being you, to soften the hearts of those who do oppress. Like, it is possible. And this is the part where, like, the anxious part of me is like, okay, listen, Joel, do you really mean that like, this next part that I'm going to say, this is where the anxious part of me is like, okay, but do you really mean that? And it's like, I really would not, like, I've definitely I've definitely become the type of person to want to do everything I can to keep people, alive, to keep people going, to keep people having hope that there is something worth it. But essentially what I do want to say is I am legitimately glad that you exist. Because of the incredible value you have in the world. And not just that, just the very fact that you exist is enough there. It's just enough there. The fact that you exist, the fact that you were created and exist is pretty much all that matters. And everything else, somebody can put other labels and reasons that you have to have value. No. You exist. Therefore, you have value. You have innate value. You, my friends, you who think they don't matter, who've been through hell, kicked against a curb, have something that others don't have, a deep and unique understanding with certain aspects of humanity. That is something that I really have been wanting to tell people and share with people and help them not there's so many of my friends, so many people who I see who are just who don't, personally me, I don't, honestly, it wasn't until the second half of this semester that I actually believed I had any value. No matter how many people said that. Yeah, but I don't believe that. I'm definitely one of those people who legitimately hated themselves to the greatest degree. But yeah, thankfully that has changed. And here's another thing that I wanted to share. So since I've started my final year here in university, there are a couple of things that I want to tell my past selves that I feel as if they really needed to hear. First of all, you made it. Despite everything you went through, you made it. Secondly, you legitimately do not have to do anything. Nothing. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to do anything. It is fine to make mistakes. Creative and wise people always make mistakes. It's how they get to where they are. No one has control over you. You can choose whether or not you want to listen. Now, I did say something about media, but that's only whether or not you want to listen. There's always a caveat on whether or not you want to listen. You are free. Don't have fear. Breaking the chains of fear. You control your actions as others do. Again, no one has control of you. But you're the one who is in control of you. You are literally the worst. But it is fine, because everyone is. Every single person is literally the worst. You are not defined by your mistakes. You are you. You are enough. You don't have to beat yourself up to make yourself better. You don't have to live to please others. I am proud of who you are, no matter what. Nothing will ever change that. And finally, love others, but remember to love yourself. And those are the things I want to tell my past selves, to free them from everything that has been keeping them down. And I might leave this for a lot later. Actually, there's one of these I'm not able to do because it's very, very, very long. But sorry, I got distracted. But here's the final thing. I don't know. This is, again, part of like that personal thing. This is a thing that literally the only thing I change each time is the year to keep track of it. But everything else is as it was as I wrote it originally. So it begins with this verse. I am always with you. Deuteronomy 3:16. And here's what I wrote to remind myself, I guess, of my value and something that I forget way too often. God loves me so much, and he tells me this every day, shows me this every day. Even in my darkest hours, I hear him remind me this. I'm totally indebted to him. I'm sorry. I'm saying it in this way because of fear. But I mean, it's kind of obvious what fear that I'm focusing on, because I mean, what other fears do you usually have when you're speaking about something related to religion? But I mean, to be honest, a lot of these things that actually no, every single one of these things is less of like trying to tell a person a thing, but they are just parts of my life, literally parts of my life. And to like try and, shy away from one thing or another would be to putting up a mask and putting up some type of face, some type of facade. Like, I know majority of people do not know. Majority of people only know like 0.01% of who I really am. And when I say that, I'm including people who actually do know me. There's so much that people don't know, primarily because there's so much of my life that is either disjointed and compartmentalized, or majority of my actual life, nobody's really taking note of what's actually there. So, back to this. Even in my darkest hours, I hear him remind me this. I'm totally indebted to him, and he paid my debts and saved me. He protected me from all the things that Satan throws at me. And a lot has been thrown at me. A lot. There's so much I've failed in. So many points in time that I've fallen into sin, literally and potentially hurting my friends. Potentially hurting my friends a lot because of pride, arrogance in another way, negative pride. And I have actually bullied people while also being bullied. I put emotional stress on friends I shouldn't have. I've thought some negative things about my friends, thought up some terrible and wicked situations that would occur to my friends, in all honesty, all because of the pride in my heart thinking that I deserve better. But I don't. I get literally the worst. And yet, God and all the people I know all love me. I have to put up with my mistakes and struggles for 22 long years. And they still tolerate me. Honestly, I couldn't ask for better people. People with flaws of their own, some that I notice and take into account. And I sometimes judge. Every time I say sorry to someone and they say it's fine, or that they still love me, or that I'm not offending them, or they will always be there for me, it makes me feel special. And it also makes me feel, it does also make me feel less worthy of their love, which I am. And yet they still love me, despite everything. I even knew it back then, but I know I will mess up more in the future. But as long as I know that I have forever unconditionally loving agape friends and a forever unconditionally loving agape God, I know I will get back up from those mess ups. And honestly, I really wish I had read this. And I actually read it fully so many times this year, because this was the year where where so much of this was there. Then again, I may not have honestly trusted anything I wrote here, but I still needed to hear it. And the final thing is actually more of a quote. It's something related to expectations. And the quote, which I'll explain, is, "Commander Hadfield, where should the pen be?" I don't know if anybody has seen that video of, I'm pretty sure it was him, who recently came from the International Space Station. I was talking and had put a pen somewhere, and then went to something else. I went back, and it wasn't where he put it. It was on the ground. Why? 'Cause gravity. Where should it be? If it was in space, it should be where it is. It should be floating. If it's on Earth, it should be on the ground. This definitely ties into something that I had to talk through about in some therapy, which is that over quite many years ago, there was a moment where I failed in a way where it's like so close. It's like I should have succeeded. Like everything was stacked for me to succeed. The entire thing. It's like if you wanted a time where you were supposed to succeed, like where everything was like, this is how it should be. That's how it was. And I did not succeed. And that held me back for so long. It had something to do with like my sister, where I was supposed to tag her in this game. I was so close to tagging her. I just missed. And that somehow got held on to me for so many years. And now, during therapy, I ended up, the guy threw the pen on the ground, and he was like, I need to write. Where should the pen be? It's like, it should be in your hand. But where should the pen be? Not in his hand. It should be on the ground. Where it should be is where it is. I shouldn't have been able to tag my sister because I didn't. What happened is what should have happened. If there was ever a mind-blowing moment, that definitely was it. It's like you don't have to worry because what happened is what should have happened. It's like, I mean, there's some sort of like, that's kind of depressing, but at the same time, it is somewhat relieving and freeing. You don't have to hold on to things. And sort of preaching the choir here because I'm definitely known for holding on to things. So many things I've been having to process and resolve. Actually, that process and resolving thing was primarily related to the fact that that some of these the people who were planning on being here, they weren't able to be here. Because of the situation I've been in, like, very little sleep over the past couple days. I've been putting a lot of time and energy into this. Kind of in a not exactly the best sort of state of mind whenever I'm like super tired. Because of that, I know that sometimes it can be really, really, really difficult for me to actually realize that there's something that I'm holding on to. And also the fact that, like, stuff like this has happened before. I know in past situations I've just held on to those grudges. Oh boy. But I mean, this time, like, I'm like, you know, it's more resolvable in this way, in this case. But I do know that this was a textbook moment, as I have experienced before. This is an exact situation where I could have easily held on to it. So that processing and resolving thing was for me to not, start bashing the people who are supposed to be here for not being here. Because, to be honest, there was some concern, knowing my own, weaknesses, that I could have easily done that. But I think that, I'm not gonna have to worry too much about that. Again, what happens. They have very valid reasons and justifiable reasons to not be able to make it. As people, I say this is definitely one of, I can't even say anything like that. Never mind. But yeah. So we're at the final words. This is kind of what's typically the core of these live streams. But before I do this, I do want to quickly actually check chat. I have been sort of I haven't really looked at the live stream in a while, but I do know that the delay is starting to increase. So what you're talking about could be something that happened so many minutes earlier in the stream. So I'm probably gonna have to do something about that. So yeah. I guess, to be honest, I realized that everything is behind. Oh, so far behind. So, I guess I'll actually do this right now. Sort of start closing out. Look to the future. So this is part of what I want to do in the future. Wait, hold up. Yeah, this is part of what I want to do in the future. There are a lot of people who have helped me in so many different ways. Sometimes they don't really all know how they've done it, but how they've helped me, how they've encouraged me, everything they've done. So seeing as this is the last live stream that I'm doing, I do want to not just thank subscribers and followers, but everybody. So this is going to be kind of a longer portion, although it has been a pretty long stream. So first, I do want to thank my parents and my sister. Of all the people who I know, they are definitely they definitely know the most about me. Like, that's what should generally happen, but like there's so much that like the like so I'm a third culture kid, which is a person who's like born and raised in a different culture than where they're from. Like the culture I'm from, my family is originally from Nigeria. I wasn't born there. I was born in a different culture. I'm currently being raised, technically, ending that era of my life, in an entirely different culture. And so the only people who really, really understand like everything that's happening up here are them, since they've been with me the entire time. And not only has it been that my parents, I don't know how I've been able to get through like these years without talking to them almost like weekly or daily at this point. And then my sister, who like we both have definitely experienced very similar things growing up. It's definitely allowed me to like not feel alone anymore. Knowing that there is somebody else who understands some of the struggles and the issues that like I may or may not be, the issues I face. And then I do want to thank Brian and Sam. They have consistently helped me with so many of these things. They were two of the people who were supposed to be here, but they've definitely helped me so much. And honestly, like, it's like, I don't know if I could, I don't really know if I've really sort of repaid them with that, like, helped them as much as they've helped me. So, like, I do definitely want to be able to do that, but like, cause it's like, I do, in a sense, somewhat feel like I ask a lot of them, from them, with everything I do, like constantly sharing stuff to them and asking for feedback and not really being able to do that for them. But like, definitely thanking you guys for helping me all these years with everything. Then I want to thank my media arts classes. All the people in those classes definitely helped me gain a level of confidence in myself, like, and not only gain a level of confidence in being able to do the work and stuff, but feeling like there are people who I can look up to throughout, because like, especially with this animation class I took, like, I was like very much inspired by everything that everybody else had made. Like, to be honest, I felt like an apprentice in a room of masters, essentially. Like, it's like I definitely felt out of place. And of course, like, my media arts professors, like, one thing I definitely want to thank them for, all of them for, is the fact that I know that typically with a class, with these types of classes, actually, I think with a lot of the classes that generally go on in college, it's like they teach you a lot of things that's like, they teach you a lot of things, but sometimes they don't really teach you a lot of things that are practical in a way. So I know that a lot of people are often frustrated by that. Our professors do legitimately teach a lot of practical stuff, to be honest. And teach it in a way that it does help. Like, yeah, there's still so much that I still need to learn. But being able to learn the core of things is what has truly helped me to get as far as I have. And I think it's actually good timing because I really want to thank not just Steve Borders, but like everybody in the Koger Center for teaching me so many things. Not just about like the media industry in general, but like helping me to gain a level of confidence that allows me to not be afraid of moving forward and not be afraid of the future. And how I don't know. Sorry, they were. There's some other things I was planning on saying, but I don't remember. But another group of people who I want to like thank are the motion design class, like people in motion design class, I remember like the beginning of it, I'm pretty sure everybody felt it, it's like what everything that I'm making is super terrible and I don't like it. But like it definitely reminded me of my first year in a media arts class and how it felt like everything I make is super terrible. It's like, nah, I mean, you know, you gotta start somewhere. And also, like, not gonna lie, all the stuff that they made was really cool. Like, there's a reason why, for our final project, like, the response was so positive. Like, really good. And, you know, again, what's a class without a professor? The Jason Porter, who, you know, unfortunately with the class, it reminded me of all the couple of things that I feared about, like the speed at which things needed to go in the media industry, which, to be honest, I'm definitely do feel as if I don't have to worry too much about anymore. But being able to but yeah, despite that, like, you know, first of all, learning learning these things. Learning these skills, that it doesn't matter like how slow or fast you can do things. Learning these skills is all to have those things is still truly important. And also being willing to at least, give some leeway, because, I mean, I did explain the situation I was in, but I'm definitely glad that, even with how the class is supposed to go, there was still, to be honest, I actually don't know if that's leeway or what, but there was still an understanding of where I was, all the stuff I was having to deal with along with the class. The next group I want to thank is my campus ministry. I'm part of a campus ministry here, and there's been a lot of situations and struggles that definitely there have been a lot of moments where it's I felt like I didn't want to be there. I was definitely, there was a lot of friction that was between me and everybody else. A lot of that did have to do with certain past things, but I really don't know. Even alongside, my parents can't always be there for me, and while the campus ministry can't always be there for me, there are always times when I definitely needed to go to them and talk to them, and even if I didn't have to talk, just having people there that exists, that makes me feel like I actually exist. That's always worth something. Then all my other friends around here, people who haven't been in my classes, but they are part of, some of them have definitely made an impact on how I see the world, and definitely helped me to, look at things differently. So, I'm really happy about that, especially too that were from my high school, Taylor Merriweather, or currently Madeline Merriweather. I don't know if they realize how much they've definitely impacted how I view the world, how I view what, people, there's a lot of, they definitely put a lot of value in people, in the people who, similar to, what I have been, what I definitely want to work with is focusing on people, focusing on people who are hurting, dealing with struggles, being somebody who can help them escape that, to not escape that, but to help them, find a break from that, find a way to relieve themselves from that, but in a constructive way. And that's sort of what I want to do in the future. And then, as they are people who are both here and went to my high school, like, they're also the other people from my high school. Not only from the drama department, but from the marching band. Like, there was a lot of trauma that I had to deal with from marching band. And in fact, some of those issues kind of ended up making me legitimately hate clarinet players for a while, like, and be super terrified of them. Which, it's like, for somebody who doesn't really understand marching band, that's like, you have this sort of idea of, like, all nerdy people, unless your marching band is the type that is, if first class, strictly formal. Definitely one that, if it was on a university campus, would easily get dissolved for some of the things that is done. But as I said earlier, while there were a lot of those things, first of all, they have changed, they have grown, they have moved forward. A lot of those things are no longer there. It's entire, like, night and day difference, and I'm really happy about that, because I didn't even, like, realize how much of those things have been influencing me until more recently. And then also, I said it, like, I've said it multiple times with people, but, like, I really don't think I would have been able to make it through high school without marching band. And that's because, like, middle school had such an impact on me that I was not planning on going to high school at all. Like, if I had not joined marching band, I would not have gone to high school. Like, it was that level of, like, you know, because I was afraid that what was going to happen in middle school would escalate to what was happening to become what would happen in high school, and much worse. But thankfully, it wasn't the case. Another group of people is the current, I'm not wearing the shirt, I do have the hat, Carolina band. I'm definitely really, really happy. Oh, just a side note, like, definitely don't play clarinets now. Still somewhat kind of anxious around them, but don't, like, but it's no longer just, like, it's not like a underlying, like, animosity towards them. And sorry, by clarinets, I mean clarinet players. So I don't know how that makes that seem, but it really is, honestly, like that. So I think one of the biggest things is the fact that during my time there, they definitely helped me realize that not only do I not have to be super strict and hard on myself as I do things, but I am also able to, people aren't as terrible as they originally seem. There are still terrible people, but like a high school band taught me one thing, and they helped me to learn that a lot of those things were taught me that thing wasn't true. I'm sorry, I'm mixing up my words, but yeah. So I want to quickly thank my subscribers, all 29 of you guys. I know it's a weird way to put it, but like it is still like really cool that people have legitimately been following the stuff I do. I mean, high school me and freshman me, definitely thank you guys, because I don't know if I would have continued without the support. But them and yeah, all the people who've followed me as I've been creating things, I am really happy that, like, you've held on along the way and joined me in all these things. But yeah, like, and I hope that you guys would be interested in continuing to follow and, like, see where things go. But I do want to point out before I move on that, like, I am going to use YouTube in a certain form, although it's not going to be the primary thing. It's just as an access, I guess, in a way. I have set up something else for that, to put stuff there, that I will actually be putting everything, actually the reel I'll put on there too. And like part of what I want to do is definitely be somebody who's, truly there just to, like, serve people. Like, that's kind of the core thing that I do want to do. That's kind of like the core of who I am and who I've become, which is somebody who just wants to help people as much as possible, with everything that I can. Although now learning that, everything that I can is not overexerting myself and causing myself to burn out. And speaking of which, I do want to thank. This is now branching out a bit more. So there are quite a couple of online communities that I've sort of joined, a couple of Discords that I've joined, and like some of them have definitely helped me with, broadening my view, broadening my perspective of the world and everything. And like, I do want to thank them for, like, the Fat Rat Discord, the YouTube, the I think it's the YouTubers Discord. It's that and like content creators in general, the Social Blade Discord. Like and just the general like community, YouTube community and everything. Like you guys have like not and that definitely leads me on to lead me to the content creators themselves, cause like there was definitely a point where there weren't a lot of people that I could trust to be there for me. In fact, my parents, my sister, all the people who are closest to me now were definitely nowhere near that. There was nobody who I could truly turn to for support, even if there was just already so much of a barrier that's like there was no way I could do that. So during those times, YouTube was that only form of like support in a way. Like being able to watch all of these content creators do these things, create these things. I mean, I started watching YouTube in the 2011, what some people consider the golden age, and seeing people grow like that, continue to grow, like I'm sorry, I really do want to like list off people. Like, first of all, the Fat Rat. How do I like? First of all, the fact that you allow people to like the way that the purpose of your music is to allow people to use it freely and not have some type of barrier, like that is definitely an inspiration for me, and it is definitely a thing that I want to be able to do myself with what I make. I don't want to I don't want to put like barriers preventing people, like, oh, well, you gotta pay me this amount of money. Part of the reasons why I absolutely hate the like music industry, because the focus is incorrect, what I would consider misled. And then Gooseworks is another person who I do want to say like has inspired me. A lot of the stuff that she makes is really out there, I guess. It's whimsical. It's whimsical, and to be honest, like, I really wish I was able to do that, because it's refreshing first to be able to just watch stuff that seem like they're created for the sake of being created. It's that, and like also like that's something I would like to be able to do again. But something I'd like to be able to do. Yogscast, they were the guys who I was watching in middle school, and storytelling, like, yeah, storytelling, their community, like, first starting with, like, watching Sips and SimCity, then going to, like, Shin and watching Minecraft videos, and then going to, like, Kim and Duncan, and then watching, like, Lewis and, I was gonna say Honeydew, but, I mean, that's true, but, like, okay. But, Simon, I'm really sorry I forgot your name. I'm so sorry. But, and then watching High Rollers and, like each of these people, it doesn't, the fact that I've had so many ways that I've been supported that I don't honestly notice or realize, it could never, diminish the value that they've each had at the moment when I needed them and were able to receive them. But honestly, there are a lot of other people that I want to, like, thank, but unfortunately, there's not exactly that much time to be able to do that. So this is going to be, the end of the stream. This is going to be the end of the last stream. Which is pretty crazy. Sorry, I guess it just really hasn't dawned on me quite yet. In all honesty, there were just so many things that I had, set up and prepped and, wanted to do, but unfortunately, you're not always able to do everything you wanted to do. But, again, with the time I have, I will do what I can. There's only so much that a person can do in their life. But I'm just setting something up as I close this down and this. I don't know about for you guys, but, like, internally for me, has been a roller coaster of the live stream. Live streams, again, are not my forte. They are definitely not a thing that I like doing, but I'm glad I was able to get this done, even if I was almost not able to. And I'm glad I'm able to, finally, close off another era of my life, and to, finally break free of all the issues that, I've dealt with. I mean, there's still going to be some that I will need to work through, who knows, And there's also some that I may end up developing in the future, but I don't really have to worry too much about that. But seeing as it is the end of the stream, I will have to sorry, I don't really know how to close things, end things, you know. It's I in some ways this is something. Goodbye, dude. No, okay, no, okay. Yeah, it is, but you know, people are still able to follow. They're still able to, like, you know, join and see where I go if they're interested, you know. But that's kind of like everything for the stream, and really glad that for all of you who watched. Seeing as the thing is so far behind, there's a lot that I'm gonna have to, like, just, you know, dang it, I have now extended it. Okay, so I'm gonna end it right here. Again, thank you for watching. At this point, I'm going to finish this, and then I'm going to sleep until next decade. So, that's all that there is for this. One final time I do this. So long, farewell,